Test. Hello there, welcome in sorcerers. So this is sort of a state of the channel for Rule Zero podcast, just to give an update as to where we were, how sorcery has changed things for us, and by us I mean you, me, anybody that's interested in this game, and even for folks who still follow me for Magic content, what I want to talk about there is that I will still be doing some Magic content related to Cube, and if there's some big news that comes out about some fun, more casual format, I will probably address that. But until later, I mean, it's mostly going to be Cube, or maybe it's Dungeons and Dragons centric. If they come out with a new D&D set, I'll be all about that because I'll be adding those cards into the Cube. But sadly, I guess, because this started as a Magic channel, until further notice, I really won't be covering that much Magic content. I do want to say that since there's still an appetite, obviously, like over 1,000 people watched my unboxing of the D&D Secret Lair cards. That is something that was requested that I really thought was an awesome idea, was for me to cover like a live play, or to like talk with players who did the cube and figure out like what archetypes they picked, why did they pick them, have sort of a more in-depth thing, and I really like the idea of doing some kind of gameplay and or like an interview, sort of command zone style interview of like, hey, what were you thinking as you were trying to draft this cube, because that's really my main passion that's left in Magic at the moment. But as you can tell on the screen here, so we're moving away from sorcery for a moment, or we're moving away from Magic into sorcery for probably the rest of the video. So Cube players, I do still love you. I mean, Cube will live on past the death of Magic, or something like that, as a playmat that's pretty famous in Magic Cube circles, or Cube will outlive Magic, which is probably true. But we're going to talk more about sorcery now, because that is, honestly, it's just my huge passion, and I thought it would be really funny. My first video back after like a year of being away and being kind of burned out with stuff was after watching the Distraction Makers video about sorcery, which I'll post in the link below. I got into sorcery just kind of watching videos about it, and it just intrigued me. Everything about it drew me in. And now that I've gotten my hands on boxes and cards and made decks, that has not changed at all. I still feel 100% gung-ho about it. Yeah, we're growing the population here in Asheville, North Carolina, of folks that want to play. Shopkeep is interested in the game and has assigned somebody at the shop to kind of learn the game in and out, so that they can start catering to more sorcery customers when that becomes available. Currently, they're moving into a much larger space, which will allow like different games and different events to run simultaneously. Whereas in the current space, Magic kind of fills up the room on pre-release days and stuff like that, and then you don't really get space for anything else. So they're hoping to be much more tabletop centric, to move away, like to not put all their eggs in the Magic basket as it is. So I'm gonna help any way I can with that. For the state of the channel, it's been wonderful. Like, I buried the lead, I guess. Thank you guys so much who have watched and welcomed me into the sorcery community. That's been amazing. Honestly, like the number of subscriptions I've had in the past month since releasing that initial video, month and 1 week, has done twice over what it did, what I got in subscriptions from doing a year of podcasting and video editing and like video creation on a weekly basis, for Rule Zero before that, when we were focused strictly on Magic Commander, which is honestly, it's a very saturated market. I get it. But sorcery community's been really welcoming, and then, man, that's been a wonderful change of pace. It almost feels like having communication with you all in comments and talking on Discord and talking on, just different channels, even Facebook channels sometimes. Like, it's just been really nice to just be part of a positive community after many months and like literally a year and maybe some change of me being very burned out in the Magic space. So I will keep going. And with that news, what's coming up for the channel is that ultimately I would like to get to 1,000 subscriptions by maybe a year out from now. I mean, so if we're talking like next April Fool's Day, if I can get 1,000 subscriptions total by then, that'll be great because that'll allow me to earn ad revenue on the videos and basically have a financial foundation to buy boxes, to buy some sorcery product. I've got a multiplayer 4-player mat coming in from Spain that is like a 7x7 grid, and I can't wait to share that stuff. But all that stuff's expensive, you know, shipping from Spain, which is where they happen to make it, and I guess they have a thriving sorcery community there. It cost me, you know, over $40 in shipping, and then it costs like an $80 for the mat, so it's pricey. But honestly, around mid-May I should be getting that, and I'll unveil that and talk about multiplayer sorcery, because I think that's a thing that we can do. We can do all kinds of things with this game. It's super broad and fun, and yeah, I've also got a Blade Dancer deck that I'm working on right now. I love the idea. In Magic they call it Voltron, but in I don't know what you call it in Sorcery. It's when like your commander or your avatar in Sorcery would basically run amok, and you don't really need creature spells that much. And so I'm working on that list right now. There's been one that's been taken off online that I took some inspiration from, but I honestly didn't own a lot of the cards yet that they have. So, oh, and I don't want to bury the lead. I also want to do a ton of gameplay videos for Sorcery. In fact, that will be the very next thing that I'm working on, is just using casual decks. I would love to film with Jude and Carl and the other folks at the shop who are interested in Sorcery, gameplay videos, because that's where the stories are told in this game. Every game is unique. You're building the realm, some crazy thing happens, a bear is flying across the stage like it's wielding a bunch of whirling blades, camels are pushing rocks, whatever, like snowballs are rolling down skeleton strewn hills into eagles, and it's just wild stories all the time in Sorcery. And so the joy, I think, really comes through in every game. I see Magic players from across the room come over and be like, hey, what are you playing? So to me, that's a sign that like this game sells itself. And so there's more competitive stuff coming up for people that are interested in competitive Sorcery. I just saw more videos from the Wizard of Itza and Common Sense podcast that have talked about like this new Excalibur Games competitive scene that's happening in the Midwest, 2 large $2K or $2,000 events that are set to happen in summer, midsummer, something like that. So I think Sorcery's on the up and up. And just as a fun little wrap up to this video, after all the appreciation and love that I can gush onto the screen to help, you know, keep you guys, or to help you recognize that like I really do appreciate the comments and the feedback, I want to talk about, and this is where the clickbaity thumbnail from the video comes from. What is wrong with Sorcery? What's the problem with Sorcery? I haven't decided on what the clickbaity thumbnail will be yet. And I know people hate clickbait, but man, there was a great, if you're into Dungeons and Dragons, there's a great Professor DM video that went up today that was like, look, I want this channel to grow. And as much as I love not having clickbaity titles, YouTube, if it doesn't capture views for a new video within the first hour, then it buries it. And so this is an unfortunate piece of the arena that we travel in, and I want to grow this game. I don't know about you. I do not want this game to fester. So I both think it's funny to have a title that's like kind of clickbaity like that, because ultimately, you know me, if you've watched this channel, you know that I'm going to preach the gospel of like why Sorcery is amazing. I fully invested in it. But I want to parse through these comments and be like, what are the valid criticisms? Because I don't think it's impermeable. I think that like there's definitely things with Sorcery that are, you know, can be tough. I've admitted to some of those in videos, right? I've talked about how sometimes it can be a little hard to parse the rules on Curiosa.io. You know, I know that there's been times where I've gone there for an answer and I haven't come away with like, well, that doesn't really fit the situation that I'm in. So a lot of times I'll refer to like asking Google, and Google will give me a Reddit feed, and then maybe Reddit will help me describe the situation. So I have complaints sometimes about sorcery, but just like uh, the amount of people that comment negatively and tend to be pretty like loud, I guess, about it. Um, I have to recognize that like the problems with sorcery are also just such a minute portion of a bigger picture, which is ultimately fantastic. And the guys that comment positively on my YouTube videos, you guys far outweigh the negative comments. Um, the and I say mostly guys because it's like there's a lot of dudes in here. I hope for more female viewership. Man, I would love that. But right now, a lot of dudes, and that's cool. But like I look at the number of likes versus dislikes, I can see that, and I'll show a little like clip of that in just a second. Um, the number of likes versus dislikes is like 96.6% for that one video that took off and had like 24,000 views, which was wild, by the way. This is a channel with like 100 subscribers at the time that I released that, and the fact that it hit 24,000, it's still going, or maybe it's at like 27,000 now, is just nuts. So we're trying to grow this game, and man, that was a lucky bingo strike, I guess. Let's talk about the negative comments that came on that video and whether they're valid or not. This one on the screen right now, I've gone ahead and blacked out some views just to try and, I'm not trying to dox any of these people, obviously, but also I don't want like negative feedback to be thrown on them or anything like that. Many of these people probably clicked in one time and like have never come back. I don't know. It only has sorcery speed effects every blue player clicked off. Look, I know that Magic players love disruption. Magic players love instant speed, counter your spell, mana drain this, force of will that. Ooh, I disrupted you. Ah. But I think they lack imagination. I'm going to be honest. As a Magic player who's been playing since 1996, so I include myself in some of this, Magic players lack imagination as to what games can exist outside of the Magic paradigm. There are thousands of games in the world that do not have instant speed disruptive effects. And they are great. Number one, chess. Nobody thinks to themselves, chess would be better if during my opponent's turn I could kick their pieces over. Like you have to use your brain to set up traps for people, think turns in advance, and I think sorcery lives in that world far much more than Magic does. And in part because of the battlefield setup for sorcery requires that you start thinking in 3 dimensions, which I don't think Magic players do. And that doesn't mean they can't, but I think people get stuck in their ways and they're like, well, this is clearly the best thing ever, my counterspell deck. First of all, nobody likes a counterspell deck except for the person playing a counterspell deck, and everybody knows that, even Magic players. So get off that. But I hear you. Look, valid criticism or not, let's say, we'll go middle on that one. It's valid only for like a blue player who like refuses to play anything else, and at that point I'm like, you probably got bigger problems. Next, this one I fed, it came in right after. Same thing. I would give it a try if they named it instant. It was a funny comment. So here you go. Here's your 2 moments of sunshine that you get, because I do find some joy in some of the trolly comments as well. There's a little piece of me that's a troll as well. So thanks for coming up. I played sorcery when it came out, waited forever for Arthurian Legends, played it until it wasn't new anymore. No one plays here, so I sold out. Incredibly great game. Release schedule is just too far apart. This criticism, I think, can be valid, especially for this person's perspective, right? You come from the world of Magic, maybe this person did, and there's 7 sets a year, and there's like secret lair special product that comes out like every week, and it's just it's commander decks out the wazoo, and just constant rotation of formats. And you go to Sorcery World and it feels a little bit like a desert. Like a sorcery deck drops in the wilderness and everybody can hear it because it's literally the only sound that's happening in the realm. Whereas in Magic, if a product drops, it is totally drowned out by the 1,000 other products that are dropping in that same weekend. So it can feel quiet and a little disconcerting. I love that though. Um, I think if I were to have like my perfect world, I think they could get away with doing one more small sort of supplementary product, sort of like the dragons that they released last year, um, but have one major set a year. Because honestly, it has allowed me to kind of breathe and not feel like I was on a perpetual hamster wheel of spoilers every week. And in Magic, there were so many times where I'd be playing a set I kind of liked, like Edge of Eternities or something like that. I enjoyed that sort of space opera sort of feel to it. And literally the same day that the pre-release happened, so the product isn't even like out for wide sale, mass market sale at least. And that same day, they're unveiling new Comic Con art for Marvel Universe characters, and like people are talking about it in the shop. Well, I'm just now opening for the first time on the literal first day of release of Magic, Edge of Eternities, this new interesting product, and I can't do that without hearing about Spider-Man and Thanos and whatever. That's how squeezed everybody, I think, in the Magic world is. Um, and there is no there is no dearth of like Magic product coming out. So if you're coming from that world, it'll feel slow at first for sure when you get into Sorcery. And I'm sorry this person doesn't have any folks that play with them. I wonder if that would change now. I think the game has been growing organically. It's sort of like there'll be certain videos or certain moments where it sort of piques an interest, or Magic does something crazy which nobody likes, and that also sends people into looking for like what's an option. So I think it will continue to grow. I hope this person gets back in, but it's a valid criticism. If you don't have anybody to play with, that's a sad thing. And I can't say that like just because I'm going out trying to really get new followers, get new people to play, that's what's going to work for everybody. I don't know that person's situation, so I wish them good luck. Next, this one's funny. How am I supposed to play without an online version? And they have a Blade Runner sort of, what do they call it? Avatar or image? Yeah, it's like Roy Beatty, I think is his name, in Blade Runner, Tears in the Rain. I've seen things you wouldn't believe, sort of in speech as he shuts down. You can play. There's an online version. It's played through Tabletop Simulator, and it's very active. You can look at like I think it's Roaring Turkey and Golden Eagle. Sometimes there's a lot of birds with online YouTube creators who do a lot of the online competitive scene. So it could be Golden Turkey and Roaring Eagle. I don't remember off the top of my head. But if you go to those channels, and I can link to those below, you will find information about and see online gameplay. Through Tabletop Simulator, and that's great community, and the setup looks sweet. Like, it looks fantastic. I'm a little like old, so I think about Tabletop Simulator, and I don't think that my initial thought is like, oh, this is going to look bad. Doesn't at all. Looks great. Looks like you're playing the game in real life with higher contrast and good res. So really cool. There's an online version. Hooray! Next. This one, so we're getting into some of the more trolly comments. This is definitely not the game I was looking for. Even though I have enough of Magic, this game looks horrible. Well, that's a very nondescript comment, man, to echo the dude for a moment. Okay. The first sentence, that's a valid criticism, I guess. That is not the game I was looking for. Okay, that's cool. I think they're responding to like my initial the thumbnail or whatever, but in the thumbnail I'm very specific. I'm like, if you're tired of Magic, Sorcery could be you'll love this game. Maybe I was too direct with that, right? And this person's like revolting against that. Like, what do you mean? I'm tired of Magic, but I don't love this game. And so you let me know in the comments. Thanks for the engagement. Next. This one was just sad. I remember reading this one. I was just like, as a therapist, which is my real life job, I was like looking at this and I was like, Can't wait for people to ruin this like they ruin everything else. Like, I just feel sad. I don't know what this person's going through. I hope you're okay. Like, please, you know, seek some, I don't want to say seek help because maybe your life's doing okay, but like, be around some positive people. Find somebody. Yeah, this is rough. I'm sorry that you're going through this. I'm all for finding a magic substitute, but the art is so. I'm not going to say that word because if we do monetize these things one day, I don't want it to be ruined. We'll cover that up. Yeah, there we go with the next sign. I'm all for finding a magic substitute, but the art of sorcery is amazing. Like, it's one of the most fantastic draws to the game. People look at it and they're just blown away. The art is incredible. So this is a comment that is totally invalid. We're going to send this one down in the arena. This makes no sense. This is like attacking the game for probably its most impressive feat of all. So you fail. I'm sorry. There's one. So this one disagrees. It has Thrun the Last Troll as his avatar, which is probably speaking to why this comment is like it is. Thrun the Last Troll is an MTG character, a Magic character. If you hadn't played that game, well, Thrun the Last Troll says, "This is just aesthetic. It plays nothing like MTG. More importantly, it will die out soon." These are the comments, and again, they're largely positive, but these comments make me laugh a ton. Like, it's hard for me to read these and feel any pain or anything. It's more just like people, when they get so upset, it's almost like watching a Think You Should Leave sketch. And I'm like, are you really mad? Or are you just doing a bit? I can't tell, because this stuff just kind of makes me laugh. Like, it will die out soon. That's a heck of a, let's bet on Kalshi or whatever. Not a sponsor of the video. Never will be. Don't want it to be. But, let's go to a prediction market and see if we can make some money off of that. I don't think so. I'm assuming Sorcery is going to be doing great. This one took the cake, though. I even put a like on this one. You can kind of see on the video. Like, I actually put the creator like, not just the thumbs up. This one is also sad, but I bleeped out the name or whatever, and I also hope this person finds help. And I think I responded in like a more like generous way to this comment, to be like, I think I actually responded because I was just felt bad. Dude, I am 40, they say. Unless you can give me friends too that can play this with me in person, highly unlikely I can wipe my burp with these papers. The papers being the cards, I guess. This is why I love MTGA Tabletop Simulator. Well, that solves that problem. I think I responded with like, well, if you like Tabletop Simulator, well, then Sorcery is for you. No need to buy silly colored paper for the price of raw gold, and I get to play with actual humans from my bed. Now, that said, if there's a digital platform to play this, I am in, which I was like surprised by the shift. I was like, wow, so he's really out. He hates this. And then immediately, 180, just like, I'm in, man. I'm in. The art is lovely. Well, see, that contradicts the other guy who was like, the art is and this guy's right. The art is lovely, and the setup and rules sounds fun. So I love the like 180 that this comment. This goes on a journey. Like, it was very sad at first, and then I was like, man, I just want to hug you or something. Maybe not me personally, but send somebody to hug you. And then such like fun, colorful terms like, no need to buy silly colored paper for the price of raw gold. Like, are you a poet and don't know it? I don't know. But yeah, I just want to highlight this one. This one made me laugh a lot. I shared this one with friends later, not in a derisive way, but like, this comment's like so weird and so all over the place that it's just almost art. Hey, is this a valid criticism? Meh, just as overpriced as MTG. Sure, I can say that's probably a valid criticism. Sorcery is not an inexpensive game. What I think I responded to this person was compare literal, like, I don't know if it's like 250 products a year, but it's close. If you count all the secret layers and the commander decks and all the things in Magic that they want you to keep track of, compare that with one set of year of sorcery. And I think you'll realize that like you don't have to spend nearly that much money in sorcery. And honestly, I'm pro proxy. Like, I want to support this company, but if you're broke and you're like, I've got like $30, go to the Staples and, copy you some cards and play. Just because I'm like, there is more important stuff in life than, spending your last $30 on some colored paper that you will wipe your burp with, according to the last person. So, valid criticism. This one, I don't like the grid and the movement. I think I gave this one a down vote because I was feeling salty. I apologize to you, and I'm looking at the avatar and I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, it's a cartoon I don't know because I'm old and out of touch. I don't like the grid and movement. Grid to me is like fantastic. I love the tactical element. I love the movement. I love how it changes the battlefield into like a more chess-like affair. I really love thinking in 3 dimensions like that. And my favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy Tactics. So if you don't like grid movement, hey, that's a valid criticism from you. I can't say no to that. It's not a trolly comment. It is what it is. Thanks for stopping by. This one, probably not, and we're getting through these. We're almost done. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. I kind of enjoy looking at these, but, probably not. Convince me. Out of the gate, 4 elements is weaker than 5 colors of magic. That's why I really included this, but they slid in this other comment. Like a real meteorite, quoting me from the video, as I talked about area of effect and how that's much different than meteorite and magic, where it just drops, does 2 damage to a thing, and that's it. It's interesting, but not like real in any way. Like, what? Like a real... I'm not saying it's a literal rock from space coming to crash down in your neighborhood. Like, what are you saying to me right now? Like, of course, that's not a real meteorite. I think it still is like a real meteorite. Maybe this guy's a science guy, and he's like, if a meteorite hits Earth, really it's going to look like this. And then he has some formula that he can tell me about where, the grid, 5-7 damage here or whatever isn't real. But until that point, I guess we're just going to have to disagree on that one. And then this out of the gate 4 elements is weaker than 5 colors of magic. That's just crazy. Like, the chances have gone down that this guy is a scientist because, yes, 5 is bigger than 4, like in the most literal sense, but it really doesn't mean anything in terms of strength of what? It's weaker than what about what? Like, how is it weaker? I think it's just numbers. He's just like, out of the gate, man. 4, it's less than 5. Come on. How are you going to argue with that? And this was edited. So, like, this is the 2nd draft or 3rd draft of that comment. This is an invalid criticism. Give me more substance, give me more thoughts. Like, I'm not afraid to engage. So I wanted to show this just as a reminder. We've got one more comment after this that's, equally funny and silly. But when I first decided to make this sort of Q&A style, sort of like, hey, let's just talk freely, update on the channel. There was 27,000 views on that one video that was like, tired of magic, let's play sorcery. But I highlighted 96.6% likes. And I did that because, one, the community's been awesome. Like, people who love sorcery are freaking awesome. 2, it's as a reminder to me as a content creator that even if I had all those previous comments and my brain tends to hyper fixate on the things that are like, well, they're not happy, I don't like this, I have to remind myself that a large majority of the people liked the video versus disliked the video, which YouTube still keeps track of, even if the general public can't really see it. So to me, that's an A. It's not A+, but it's an A, and that's about as high as you can get in the internet world. So thank you all for liking the video and engaging with it. And then one last comment before we run. Why do many new TCG just afraid from instant speed effect? I'm going to guess English is the 2nd language, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but or it's talk to text or something. It's just crazy. The stack is the best thing about Magic after all. That's not a truism. There's nothing true about that statement. The stack is the best thing. I mean, the stack is interesting, right? The stack is how in Magic players resolve a lot of instant speed effects. So I cast Lightning Bolt on you. You counterspell my Lightning Bolt. That goes on top. I Lightning Bolt your face again on top of your counterspell. So then the stack will resolve in reverse order. And then Lightning Bolt your face, counterspell the original Lightning Bolt goes off. Boom, 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 boom. And it's interesting. It's an interesting way to resolve things. And if that's the best thing about Magic, though, I don't know why anybody would start playing. Like, it's neat, but it's not like why I started playing Magic. I started playing Magic because I thought it was a beautiful, wonderful game, full of fantasy creatures doing weird stuff. It told a story. The art was amazing. All the like learning the stack, which I don't think was even a rule back in the 90s. I think the stack was added later as a way to resolve these sort of things, or at least there's been some changes to how the stack works. I think that's just not true. And this idea of like, why are many new TCGs afraid of instant speed effects? Well, I think it goes back to earlier, like thousands of games, not just TCGs, but just games in general, don't have ways for you to disrupt your opponent like at instant speed. It slows the game down. It makes things complicated, overly complicated from a card standpoint. So you have all these cards that have to do things on other people's turns. You know, I think it bogs down gameplay quite a bit. And yes, it does give a player more, I guess, control in some way. But I don't think you are lacking control in Sorcery. I think you can get control by just playing ahead, playing turns ahead, envisioning my opponent's going to do this. I want to build my realm like this. I want my pieces. I know what's in my hand, so I can kind of plan like, oh, well, I've got this Siren or this Koi Nixie, and I want it to be placed by the thin ice or whatever. And like your opponent doesn't know any of that stuff. So the fact that you can kind of plan ahead and play out your moves will allow you to create this very like engaging, I think, fulfilling game that mimics having a lot of control without doing any instant speed shenanigans. And you know, you can still defend and stuff like that in Sorcery and instant speed. So anywho, it's been a wonder talking to you all. You may have noticed that my image, my avatar for the YouTube page changed a little bit, and that's because I just kind of, in the vein of Sorcery, right? All this hand-painted art, really values this stuff. I tried to, it's not great, but I tried to draw this sort of like Sorcery owl. I love birds. I think I've talked about this before, but I tried to draw this sort of Sorcery owl. And, you know, I tried to, this is all done with like Sharpies. I don't have a lot of colors, so I tried to add some color in a paint shop after I kind of took a picture of it and opened it up in there. So it's a little more colorful. But, you know, we're just going to try and keep this channel real down to earth, real grounded, valuing the things that make Sorcery great, get more live plays in action, and then deck techs are coming up, and then have box openings as we can afford those things. And then honestly, multiplayer Sorcery, that's a world I come from. I love multiplayer gaming. So, you know, maybe this channel will become, you know, more in that direction if people seem to engage with that, because I have multiple friends, right? So like, I don't want to leave anybody out. So maybe we can have 3-player or 5-player games or 4-player games or whatever, and everybody's included in the shop. And so it's a really fun and wacky thing. And I think it even makes other new cards that don't see a lot of competitive play more viable, because it's a bigger space. So there's more void spaces in play. And so that kind of stuff literally gets my brain working too. Well, until next time, thank you all for being so participatory with this video and others. And if you made it this far, give yourselves a hand. Enjoy contesting the realm as soon as you can. Thank you.